Hi guys, this is the video review for the Transformers 2014 Expo exclusive figure, Voyager class Nemesis Grimlock. It's basically a repaint of the Hasbro Voyager Grimlock from the Age of Extinction series. Box is pretty much the same except in a blue and white theme instead of a red and white theme. So at the back you can see a new bio for Nemesis Grimlock. The figure arts are basically the same as well. Nothing really too different. You have the movie Advanced and the Tokyo exclusive Transformers Expo logo here. So yeah, that's basically it for the box. It's similar to the Nemesis Prime figure that I've previously reviewed, except in a blue and white box theme. So without further ado, let's open this figure and see how good of a figure he is. Alright guys, so I have Nemesis Grimlock out of its packaging. It does come with a set of instructions for the original Grimlock mold. It does come with the mace weapon, painted in black and purple this time, to fit the Nemesis theme. Obviously he can carry it with both of his hands through this handle. He can also carry it at the back. So the back, you can see there's a hole here. You can basically plug the handle onto the hole and let the mace bar rest on top of this piece of plastic. And just kind of wiggle it in, and basically he can basically store the mace at the back of his body. And just to give you guys a back view, this is what it looks like. So it's really up to your preference whether you want to hold the weapon or not, but I'll leave it on the side for now, and I'll focus on the robot figure. So the figure itself, paint scheme wise, I absolutely love it. So just to go through some brief paint details, I guess I'll zoom in on the head first. So the head has a black sculpt around onto the top. You have the red eyes and a gray silver face. And also the same paint is applied onto the chest area here. And also, if you look at the shoulder bits, you see the Grimlock's T-Rex head with the red eyes, some red detail on the noses, I guess. And you also have the teal colored teeth, which is really nice in my opinion. One different color scheme that this figure has that Nemesis Prime didn't have is the purple color scheme. So it fits really well. You have it on the legs of the T-Rex, the fist, the hands of the T-Rex. This will be showcased later on during the transformation. You have the abdomen in the purple color as well, and it also features a Decepticon logo. So pretty neat features. You have some teal paint on the fist, or around the fist I should say. Some shoulder detailing here. Also teal paint on the knees, and the rest of the figure is mostly black and gray. So that's pretty much it for the detailing of the figure. At the back it's mostly just black, and then you have the rest of the T-Rex head and the teal colored teeth. It's a pretty neat figure in terms of coloring. Articulation, head's on a ball joint, 360 degrees. And the shoulders, you can rotate it 360, but when you do so, you gotta pop the head upwards, and you can kind of rotate it 360. Arms, you can twist it this way. Oops. So this purple piece here, you can twist it this way. The elbows, you can twist it up and down. And lastly, his fist. Now his fist is one part that I don't really like. So in order to turn it, you gotta unpeg this piece first. And this piece basically has a hole here that attaches this piece of plastic and locks the whole piece into his arm. But in order to turn the fist, you basically have to unpeg this, and then you can turn it whatever way you want. But once you close this piece back, there's no corresponding hole here that pegs this piece in, so it kind of leaves it hanging like that. So that's kind of like the annoying part, but I usually just try to leave it like this so the piece locks in. In terms of waist, there's no waist movement. You have to do it through the legs, I guess, if you want to pose it on the side or something. Legs, up and down, it's on a ball joint. You can go all around as well. Knees, twist joint up and down as well. And then lastly, feet, you can't rotate the feet as well. The most you can do is this, but you only do that during your transformation. So in terms of articulation, to me, this figure is actually pretty weak, especially comparing it to the other Expo limited edition figure, Nemesis Prime. Nemesis Prime has a lot of articulation, but this one doesn't. So that's one thing I don't like about this figure, I have to say. But color-wise, I have to say great job, Takara. Very, very nice coloring. The purple works with the black and the teal, so I like the coloring. So without further ado, let's get into the transformation of this figure and see how good of a figure he is. So to transform Nemesis Grimlock, it's not too hard. So I put the mace on the side for now. We can come back to it later. It's not important for now. So first thing I do is go to the back. You see this little piece of plastic. You can lift it up, and then you see kind of like a lever joint here. And then what you can do now is once you pop this piece out, you can give the two T-Rex halves of the head a gently push, and then the whole piece will pop off. And then once that happens, you can kind of push this piece back into the middle of the two heads and leave it up here for now. You'll come back to it later. And then you can close the two halves of the T-Rex head together. And you can see there's two pieces of plastic here that pegs into the two holes on the side. So just kind of peg them tightly and you basically already have most of the T-Rex head done. What you can do now is kind of lift it up gently, and then there's a small plastic piece here that pegs into the hole here. So go ahead and kind of push it together. And then straighten the head down, and you basically have the T-Rex head done. Now go back to robot mode, or the robot side. Lift the legs down first. So what I do is unpeg the arm joint against the legs, push it all the way down, lift the back toe piece out, and then turn so that the legs are facing that way. Do the same thing on this side. So again, push it all the way down, lift the legs out, and then turn so that the legs are facing that way. And now what you can do is lift this whole piece upwards until this piece hits the head, like so. So if you kind of take a look at the overall form, it's already starting to take shape. The legs are going to be here, the head's going to be here, and then these two robot legs are basically going to form his tail. So now what you can do is go ahead and go back to your robot legs. Flip these two feet pieces down, and then what you can do is swivel the whole leg piece across, so it ends up on the tail side. And what you should have done also is when you're swiveling this whole piece down, you'll notice on the knee piece there's actually a black small piece that kind of pegs somewhere. So where does it exactly peg? If you look under the purple piece here, you'll see two holes here. That's where it's supposed to peg. I don't think it's a really strong peg, but that's what you're supposed to do. So go ahead and kind of just try to swivel the two knee pieces there so it pegs down. And also at the same time, you can see there's a plastic piece here that connects to the hole on the other leg. So you can might as well peg the two pieces of plastic together to form the tail. Kind of just push it together to make sure it's tight, and then flatten the feet, straighten the feet. Close this piece onto the head. And lastly, the hands. So unpeg this whole piece of plastic down and just kind of swivel it down so maybe it's easier to see here. Just like so, and then straighten the arm. Do the same on the other side. Just unpeg this, push it all the way down, straighten the arms, and then just kind of straighten the whole figure out. make sure everything's good to go. Can adjust it downwards or upwards, doesn't really matter. It's a matter of how you want to adjust the feet. And basically you have Grimlock in its dinosaur mode. So we have Grimlock in his dinosaur mode. I have to say I prefer him in dinosaur mode rather than robot mode because it just looks menacing in this color scheme. It does have a gimmick, so there's a button here, and this basically, the bottom joint here, the bottom jaw of the T-Rex head, it's on a spring joint, so if you press this button, it'll just bring it up and give it like a biting action. So really neat that they included that with the figure. Overall, the figure's paint scheme is exactly the same as the robot mode. You have extra teal colors here on the top. But other than that, basically it's the same paint scheme I went through in robot mode. One thing I actually don't like about this figure is the flimsiness and the looseness of the figure. In robot mode, articulation's limited, and a lot of joints are actually kind of loose. When you start transforming it and kind of you want to pose it and try to straighten the figure, that's when you realize this figure is really loose in terms of joints. Just by lightly tapping this piece, like the whole hand piece here just flies off. There's nothing to really peg this black piece towards. I can't really close it all the way, then the hand kind of looks offside in a way. So I really don't like that feature of this figure. Like the mechanics and the engineering, it's actually not that well. Another thing I really hate is actually the tail piece or the waist piece here. If you lightly tap or push this tail piece down like that, it just detaches. So this peg doesn't really do anything. The black piece of plastic in the knee joint that pegs into the purple piece, it doesn't really, it's not really a strong peg in a way. But I do like the head sculpt, I do like the paint scheme. But yeah, like overall, I would say the engineering and the playability of this figure is actually not that great. Oh, the other thing I want to mention is your mace. So, oh, the pieces popped off again, but anyways. So what you can do with the mace is you can actually put it towards the end of the tail. You'll see there's like kind of like a rectangular shape down here, and it basically fits the joint here. So you can kind of form it in. So when you do that, it kind of acts as two things. One, an additional weapon storage for your mace. Two, it extends Grimlock's tail to infinity and beyond. I think it looks absolutely weird in this mode, so I usually just keep the mace apart and leave the tail like that. Otherwise, that's really pretty much it for its dinosaur mode. Just a size comparison in its dinosaur mode, because for me, I would basically display this as a dinosaur rather than its robot, but just a size comparison for you guys that are interested. I have my good old Legends Scrapnose Rat Bat here. It's about like twice the size of a Legends figure, and Legends figure actually ride this figure pretty well. So if you have like kind of like a wire or a rope, you can kind of wrap it around the neck and let them carry it, and it looks pretty well actually. The other figure comparison I have, I guess, would be a deluxe class figure. So I have my souped up Viacon from Transformers Prime. So in terms of height wise in the dinosaur mode, it's kind of the same as a deluxe robot figure. But when you transform into robot mode, obviously he'll be a tad taller than the deluxe figures. So just kind of like a size comparison. And the other thing I really want to note to you guys is I forgot to mention about this when it's in robot mode. This figure, unlike the Nemesis Grimlock, Nemesis Prime, I mean, it has absolutely no light piping. So when I get my flashlight out and shine it on his eyes, there's absolutely no light piping in this figure. Just a slight complaint to me. Like if they made the eyes hollow and there's light piping, I thought it would have been like a better feature, but they don't have it. So, yep. And that's pretty much it for the dinosaur mode. So without further ado, let's get this figure back in its robot mode. So guys, to transform him back to robot mode, since the figure's so flimsy, it's not that hard to do. First thing you want to do, pop open the lever joint here again. Just leave this piece out. You can go ahead and close this hand piece in dinosaur mode all the way in to lock it in like so, and then just push the dinosaur hands down like so. And then now what you can do is kind of just move the whole tail piece outward, unpack the legs, and then you can basically push the feet down. And you already have its feet done. Now what you can do next is you can lift the whole waist joint here downwards, and you'll see there's a peg, there's a small plastic piece here that pegs into this whole piece. So kind of just push the whole thing down. And again, I have to say, like, even though these pieces peg with each other, they're not like tight pegs, which is something that I don't like. Straighten the feet out, flop this piece down, and then straighten the arms out. And what you can do now is close the back feet piece or the back toe piece. Push the whole feet inward until this little plastic piece pegs into that hole. And then you can basically turn the whole hand around like so. So do the same on the other side, just kind of push this back leg piece in, peg it onto the arm, and turn. So you almost have the figure done already. Now you go back here, unpeg the dinosaur head from the bottom jaw, just like so, and then you can unpeg the two halves of the T-Rex head, open it up like so, and then kind of angle it down so this piece can get through. Push the whole piece in until you hear like a snap as it locks in place, and just kind of push the lever piece back in to kind of lock everything into place. Straighten the arms out, straighten the legs out, and there you have Nemesis Grimlock back into robot mode. So guys, overall I would have to say this figure is kind of flimsy, and the engineering of the transformation and the joints and the pegs, it's kind of loose. So that's something that I don't like about this figure. But something I do like about this figure, paint scheme. Paint scheme's really nice. The second thing I really like about this figure is actually the T-Rex head. That's why I kept mentioning in the video I would display him in the dinosaur mode, because he looks really menacing in its dinosaur mode, much more than his robot mode. But other than that, I would have to say the figure is not well designed in a way. I don't really like the transformation or the joints. So to me guys, if you guys see this figure, it's actually pretty costly, this figure, since it's a limited edition figure. I would give this a pass. Comparing to Nemesis Prime, I would definitely spend the money on Nemesis Prime rather than this figure. So if you guys have any more questions about this figure or any other details that you guys want to know, leave it in the comments below. Let me know if you guys want me to review anything else. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.